Today's episode is sponsored by Sandals Resorts and Brightco Insurance. What's up, Chillas? Today we're talking cakes and sweet treats with Armana Christianson, who is the owner of A Cakes Bakery. Armana, welcome to Bridechilla.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Tell us a little bit about your background and what inspired you to get into baking.
I grew up in Nebraska, played golf, and I literally went into playing professional golf for about 10 years.
Wow.
COVID happened and I wasn't traveling and I just didn't know what to do. I took a lot of time off, and September 2020, I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to decorate a cake for my parents' anniversary. And so I bought all the stuff. I bought a turntable and a piping bag and all the things I needed to, and I decorated a cake for the first time. And my husband was like, you know, you're kind of good at that. And I was like, you think? And he was like, yeah, I think people would like that. I was like, okay. And there we go. I started my business January 2021. Yeah. And then by the mid-year, I was like, weddings is where my heart is. So I started focusing on weddings by the middle of that next year.
That is incredible. What a great story of how, you know, something that you thought was your forever, your future, and one negative like COVID can just completely change your life for a positive thing.
Yeah, it was a complete left turn. Came out of nowhere, and I'm fully self-taught, but I can't imagine it going any other way.
Wow. Okay, so, for our couples listening that are in the planning process, at what point should you start considering your baker and what kind of cake you want, or bakery, you know, in general? You don't probably need to start that at the very beginning, like when you're getting your venue, right?
No, no, definitely not. It's definitely not part of the same timeline as your venue. When I talk to people about cake, it just is dependent on how important it is for the couple. If you are looking for something that is so unique that you want to work with someone who creates custom designs, then you're probably going to have to look a little bit farther out. That's the kind of stuff I do. So clients will book sometimes 6 to 9 months out for me, depending on their wedding date. I don't book like a year out, like photographers and weddings. It's very rare. But sometimes venues include your cake, so then you don't have to book anyone. And then there's the people who are like, you know, we just want something small and it's not a big deal. And you can go to your local bakery and schedule that and do a tasting there, and they can book much closer for you. So it really just depends on what you're looking for.
Well, walk us through that process, because you just brought up tastings, and that's a great way to start kind of vetting who you want to work with, right?
Yeah, absolutely. If you are trying to figure out your custom cake artist, a lot of us do tastings. I do tasting boxes with my clients. I'm a cottage baker, and I don't know if many people know what that means, but it means
what is that?
Yeah, I'm licensed and insured to work from my home kitchen. So I don't have a shop that people can come to and like sit down. And it would be super uncomfortable if people came and sat down in my home and had cake. So I schedule time with clients to either they can pick up their tasting and they can take it home, enjoy it alone with their fiance and, you know, maybe with a glass of champagne, and it's a fun experience for them. Or I schedule it with them in their planner and I come on site maybe after their venue catering tasting and we can sit down and talk through it. So that's a really nice way for me to like meet with a couple, have them try my work, because your cake should taste just as great as it looks.
Yeah.
And then it's a little easier for storefront bakeries. They usually have cake tastings that you can schedule with them, and they're a little bit easier to set up. And then if it's booked within your venue, they'll help you kind of navigate how to set up that cake tasting.
That's a really good point you just made. It might look delicious, but it could be dry. It could be flavorless. It could be too sweet.
A dry wedding cake is my nightmare. Nightmare.
Well, yeah, because it's like that uncomfortable feeling when you're trying to eat it and like it just soaks up all your like saliva and you start choking
Yes.
on it sometimes. Like,
Oh, when you have
no.
to have something to drink with it, you're like, oh, that is the worst feedback. And
Yeah.
I've had other wedding cake where I'm like, okay, it's just it can't be like that. I will never get that feedback because that will just kill me. So
So walk us through the process. Say we're ready, we book you. Where do we go from there?
usually when clients inquire and I send over my info, we end up doing a consult. And I know that people are like, do I need to do a consult for my wedding cake? And I would say yes, because you've never booked a wedding cake before. And so we go through the whole thing, and I am the expert. So I talk you through how many servings do I think you really need, as opposed to just one for every guest. And I talk through logistics and how that looks like and how you don't have to worry about it. I'll worry about it. And then if they say, yes, we're ready to book, I send over their proposal, and then we schedule their cake tasting. A lot of times clients will opt to do a cake tasting after they book with me. But I offer it both ways. Sometimes the more custom cake artists, we just book up a little quicker because we can only take a couple on a day. So timeline for booking is just a little different that way, because you're like, oh, we might lose our spot if we don't book it quick enough.
Yeah, keep that in mind, because having a big 5-tier intricate design is going to be far different than if you're doing a little small round or heart shape that says just married.
Yes. Yeah. And it really depends on those designs that weekend and how many I can take on. If it is someone who's booked me for a 5-tier cake that has this 100 sugar paste flowers that I have to make, I'm probably not making another cake that weekend. Yeah. So I do the set up the cake tasting with clients, and then we also talk about their cake design after the fact. I usually don't book them with design. I book design afterwards, because so many things can change with someone's wedding design from beginning to end. And if they were to lock in their cake design, I don't know how many times clients would have changed.
It's true.
Yeah. And the cake is almost always the last part of the design. And so I want to make sure that it flows well. So I leave it kind of open-ended for them until we get about 3 months out. And we can really start to nail down, okay, what did your flowers really end up looking like? You're, sending out your invitations. What do your invitations now look like in their final draft? You're scheduling your linens. Is there linens or dinner plate patterns that you have worked on that you're like, yes, we want to incorporate something like that? So at that point, we're able to use all those elements to create a cake design for them that actually flows well with the rest of their wedding.
That's such a good point, because you can think that you're going to have this elegant cake that just screams vintage 1950s. But once you actually start putting your wedding together, it looks a lot more romantic, whimsical, garden.
Yes.
Or bohemian. Like you don't know until you're putting the puzzle pieces together, right? Like
Exactly. Well, and that's why making sure that you pick the right person is important, because you want to make sure that if your design potentially could change that much, that you have a cake artist that can change with you and also work on those designs. Because I know that I've talked to people where they're like, well, we wanted this thing, but this person said they couldn't do it. And some people don't work with things like fondant. A lot of cake artists don't work with fondant. And sometimes you need to in order to create certain types of designs. And if your wedding theme kind of goes that direction, you want someone who can be just a little bit flexible in design with you.
Yeah, we talk on here a lot about, you need to vibe with your vendor. And it's the same with your baker. They're just another vendor that you need to make sure that like you're in alignment with, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I will say it's like, that's why the consults are so nice for me, because we can sit there and just like talk about their wedding, and they can tell me all about how they got engaged, and we can just see how we fit as like just talking together. Because It's pretty immediate. I mean, you know when you enjoy talking to someone or not. And if you are getting like a vibe that's like, I don't know, then that just translates into everything because I have to talk to you about your design. If you can't tell me in like a paragraph what makes something special about your wedding between you and your partner, it's just going to make it a little bit harder for me to create your design that's unique to you.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
That's that whole communication, right? How it's so
Absolutely.
key.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you mentioned the fondant. That's a really good point. So there are different cake flavors. There's different styles of frostings. And fondant is a controversial one in the baking world.
It sure is.
Can you tell people why that may not be familiar with that?
Yeah. So fondant is rolled sugar. So one, people always assume it's really sweet. And then two, I think there's this idea that like everyone heard fondant was so gross from like the 90s. And it's because we used to put really thick layers of fondant on a cake. It used to be like something you'd want to peel off because it was just like...
You could peel it off in some cases.
You could peel it. Yes, yes. And honestly, like I've purchased, because when I started, I had no idea. I was starting from scratch. I've purchased bad fondant before, and it's gross. I get it. But if you were working with a custom cake artist, we are not using bad fondant. There are different varieties of fondant, and a lot of us even make our own. So we're making like marshmallow fondant where it has like a marshmallow taste to it. And then we also have things now that are called fondant rollers. And so it will automatically roll out our fondant for us to the perfect thickness where it's not like an inch thick of fondant on the outside of your cake. It's very thin, very thin. We know how to make it taste good now. So I feel like if it's something that you're considering, you shouldn't be afraid of it. Just be open.
You're bringing fondant back.
I know. Well, and here's the thing though, like there's so many times where a client will send me a photo and I'm like, the only way to achieve this is with fondant. You cannot do this in buttercream because there are certain movements and textures and things that like fondant will harden if it's not set against something that is moist. So if the fondant isn't actually touching cake, it will get hard. And so when I leave it with little layers and things, those edges will harden and give me this like illusion of floating. It's like that doesn't happen with buttercream. So I'm like, I tell clients like, it's going to taste fine. I promise. It really will. And if you need this design in your life, then you have to be open to fondant.
Yeah, because fondant is so... I almost consider it kind of like Play-Doh. Like that's how you can help create certain like figures and
absolutely.
You know, like when you see these really cool like Mickey and Minnie or like whatever, like 9 times out of 10 that's being used with fondant, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. That or sugar paste or modeling chocolate, like all these things have different like reasons for being used in cake art. But yeah, all of those they make it able for us to create some of those wow designs that people are looking for from a custom cake artist. So
I personally love buttercream. You keep mentioning it. And I also love like a cream cheese style frosting. What's the one? My mom always says this is her favorite kind, but she never says what kind it is. She's like, the real frosting. It's like gritty sugar. I'm like, I don't know what that means. What is that?
American buttercream. Yeah, American buttercream. It's the kind that you think of when you're like, I want to go to a grocery store and pick up a birthday cake. Like,
okay,
that's the gritty buttercream. And the reason why it's gritty is because it's the ratio that I end up using is 1 part butter to 2 parts powdered sugar. So it is very heavy on the sugar, very heavy on the powdered sugar. And so yeah, I still have clients who choose it. I offer it if they want it. My favorite is the Swiss meringue. It's a little creamier. It's a little subtle sweetness. It's not like overly like it's hurting your mouth because it's so sweet. Yeah, but she's definitely talking about American buttercream.
Okay. Yeah, and that makes sense.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, we have all these different frosting options, and obviously there's so many different cake flavors you can do. Obviously, there's vanilla and chocolate, like the basics. And then, like, my personal all-time favorite is confetti cake. But you have, like, red velvet and cheesecake, and, like, how you're already overwhelmed with so many decisions in wedding planning. And this is just another one that you add to your list. It's a fun one. It's one you get to, like, taste. And like you said, you can make it a date night thing, right? But it's still making decisions and can be very overwhelming. So what is your advice on how to kind of narrow down your flavors and your style?
Yeah. Yeah. So for clients who are overwhelmed with nailing down flavors, one thing that I do, and you could always ask your cake artist to do, or baker, is one, give a shorter list of already set combinations that they have done that clients continue to go back to. So I have a whole mix and match menu. You could like mix and match hundreds of different choices, and it can be paralyzing. So I set up a like popular flavors combination menu. So it's a much shorter list of already set cake, filling, and buttercream options for clients. And that allows them to already see like, oh, I don't have to like figure out my own flavor combinations, and will my guests enjoy this? I've already done it for you, and guests do enjoy it. So you don't have to worry about that part. And then from there, when they do their tasting, I say, let's just pick 4 that you're interested in. And that narrows it down even more for them. Sometimes clients come back and they're like, we want a second tasting because we want to do more flavors. And that's fine. I think most of the time they're just enjoying the process.
Yeah. Hey, you have to find a moment in the process to totally enjoy.
I mean, I had a client who would get a tasting from me every 2 months because they just wanted to retry their cakes that they were having for their own wedding over and over and over again until their wedding day. So I was like, hey, if you want to do that, that's up to you.
Well, actually, with that, tastings, at least the initial one, is usually included in, I can't speak for all bakers, I guess. Maybe this is how you do it, but like, is usually included in that process, right? Especially if you're trying to lure them to be your client. But for that specific client, they want to come back every other month. Is that then an extra fee that you need to be considering? Or do you say, you know what, fine, it's fun? Because things are expensive.
So if they, I know. It is
those eggs ain't cheap.
No, they're not. And because I am not in a storefront bakery, I'm custom cake artist. I'm custom making your tasting every single time. I don't have that like, oh, here's my tastings and I just pull them out of the fridge for you. So I'm custom making those every time. And then I have like really nice packaging that I put everything in. And then I have to schedule you 2 weeks out because I also have weddings. So for me, it's like I really have to plan it out. But if they want to continue to come back to me, I just have a charge for each additional tasting box. So if you're looking to do more than one tasting with your baker or your cake artist, then you should definitely plan on purchasing those additional tastings. Unless you've already like paid for maybe a custom recipe, which I've done with clients before. So they do a recipe, like a brand new flavor for me. And I'll work with them on a custom flavor and they'll get several iterations of it. And so they can retry it over 2 to 3 times so we can make sure that it's the right recipe for their wedding. So, yeah.
Okay, there's so many things I want to cover with you on this. In 2 seconds, I want to talk about contracts. But because you're talking about personalization, I love the idea of the personal recipe. And personalization is number 1 right now in weddings, right? Because everyone's like, especially with Gen Z, right? Like, I don't have to do the fucking garter toss and the bouquet toss, and I have to do these standard traditions that mom and grandma had, right? Which is awesome. Like, all for it, right?
I'm for it.
So, right? And like, that's so, and it's probably such a fun challenge for you to get these like newer, different flavors that you're not accustomed to work with. So what are other ways that we can really personalize this? Like, what are you seeing, or what are you, advise that we can try to like make it our own?
Yeah. I mean, the flavor thing is so fun to me. I've had people who come to me I had a couple that said, we're getting married Arizona. One of our favorite things to drink is horchata. And I was like, oh, okay, great. So you want a horchata flavored cake. So we had to like figure out a horchata flavored cake. I had a couple that said, from where we're from, taro is like something we use a lot in things. And so we made a custom taro cake flavor with a taro paste. And so that took a couple iterations. So, using something that maybe you and your fiance have like bonded over as a cake flavor I've seen that before. I've also seen people who say, my grandparents, their cake flavor was this and it doesn't exist anymore. Or this was their favorite dessert. Can we incorporate that into the wedding cake? So using family members and kind of honoring them that way is also something that I've seen clients do. And that feels really special. I really like that. So as far as flavors, that's a great way to make something just even a little bit more custom for them.
I absolutely love that. And I think whenever you can honor family or loved ones in some way, like that just makes it that much more personal, right?
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm.
So contracts, let's go back to that because this is very important. And there's different fees and expectations that do surprise a lot of couples. Like I know I didn't consider like the stand fee because like when I had got married back in the day, I had just like a 2 kind of smaller cake that like we could cut into and then did cake pops. So like looked like
fun.
Flintstone push-up pops, but they were that way you could just walk around on the dance floor or whatever. So so by the way, there's other options that you can do with your cake.
There are, yes.
But I wasn't expecting the fee for the actual stand, and that if I didn't bring it back in its full glory, that I'd be charged extra. So what are different fees like that we need to be considering and things that we need to make sure we see in the contract?
Yeah. So for me personally, I try not to nickel and dime. I don't have like things like additional fees a lot in my contracts just because I want to be very upfront with my clients. But things that I know clients should look out for. One, you want to have your base price for your cake. So that is the one thing. But then also if there's an additional fee for design. So depending on how intricate you go, if they have to make sugar flowers, if they have to make any design that you're talking about, having that design written out and what the cost is for that design is important. Cake tasting, just making sure that like if it's included, if it's not, what that price is up front, so you know what that is. The cake stand fee is a really good one. That is my only thing I have in my additional contract, but I actually write that as a separate line item on the contract for them so they know up front if they do rent one from me, and what that looks like and the retainer for it, the refundable deposit that they get back.
Yeah, deposits are something we never remember, like we don't realize,
Yeah, and honestly, I stopped renting out cake stands if clients don't have a planner. So, yeah, because I would not get them back. So then for me, I couldn't, like, I'm struggling the next week when someone may have rented it and I'm driving around all over the place trying to get my cake stands because people have forgotten them. So just something to consider that maybe some things may not be available to you because you don't have a planner involved. So for me, it's
that is such a good point.
Yeah. Unless I can touch base with the planner and be like, hey, your client rented this from me and I'm going to need it returned. And they can like verbalize to me like, yeah, we got it. I may not offer cake stand rental to you. And so I do give my clients like my favorite cake stands where they can like purchase or, maybe a family member wants to purchase it for them as a gift or something. And they can purchase it themselves and then they can leave it at the venue. That's always an option. I bought my own cake stand when I got married. So I was like, oh, then I can keep it afterwards. So for me, it was a keepsake. But yeah, so those are definitely things to keep in mind. If your cake person will cut and put flowers on your cake. That's a big one.
Mm.
I know people who will not, cake artists who will say the florist needs to do it, but then the florist will assume the cake person is doing it. So making sure that that's clear who is going to be doing that on site, because you could end up with a cake that has no flowers on it because no one wants to on it. Yeah. So, and if they charge for that, so.
And there's also delivery fee for day of.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Delivery fee, of course. And most of the time, almost all the time, I'm like, you should just get it delivered. It's too busy, and you don't want your great uncle trying to pick up your 2-3 tier cake and put it in the back seat and drive it to your venue.
And your planner doesn't have time to do it. And if they have assistants,
Oh
they're still busy doing other things too.
No, they're running around that morning. The day of is so hectic for everyone. And if you try to assign it to a family member, they're trying to get into photos usually about when the cake should be delivered. So there's no reason to involve other people. Just make your life easier and just be cool with the delivery fee, because we're going to set it up, make sure it's perfect. We have the tools to deliver, so it's not going to be destroyed on the way there. And you just won't have to worry about it.
What are some other cake options that you recommend? Like I had mentioned my push-up pop version that I had done. Are there other ways that we should be thinking outside the box besides the typical round or square cake?
Yeah, for sure. I think we kind of talked before, but I'm just a cake artist because I'm a single person running my business. So for me, doing dessert tables is a lot. But things that I have talked to other clients about, because I have clients who do get other desserts along with my cakes. I've had people who do the traditional cookies and macarons, and I do cupcakes. So I do offer those.
Cupcakes are the best.
I know. They're very good. I really do like them. And you can make them so cute with little stands.
Yeah.
But yeah, so everyone loves the little individual desserts. They love the idea that their guests can walk by and just pick up a couple small things and put them on their plate. So even just the bite-sized cakes, pieces or cake bites, people love those. But some of the more fun ones that I've seen, I have a couple that's doing, a gelato cart, at the beginning of the year. And that's really fun. So they were look, it's cake and ice cream. So a little bit of both. And I'm that's fun. I love that.
That's awesome. I love that.
I know, it's so good. And then we have, there's a vendor here that does cannolis, and they walk around and do cannolis, and that's such a fun little treat. So there's lots of little things like that, and that make things just a little bit more special and even interactive. Yeah.
What are some other interactive things you've seen people do or ask you to create with cake?
Well, so I just did a shoot yesterday, and it was very cool because I'm excited to get the video back from it. But we did a 16-foot long cake where they had all of the guests who were at this shoot able to just kind of cut their own slice of cake and dig into it. And so that was really fun to see in person, because normally I don't get to see it.
Yeah.
But that's something where it's oh, that's kind of cool. Your guests could walk up and cut their own slice of cake out of this huge long cake. And 16 feet is very long. Very long real cake. It took me a long time on site to set that up.
I bet.
That was a really fun interactive thing. I have seen, there's a cake artist that I really love to follow, where she on site had cake slices on a stick, and it was dipped in chocolate. And then on site, she wrapped it in cotton candy.
What?
Yeah. And I think about it all the time, because that is one of my things where I'm just that is such a fun way to be on site and be let's wrap this cake slice in cotton candy. And then you hand it to the guests, and it's this it's more of an experience to have your cake sliced that way. And so I'm like, that is just cool. I just thought
I'm
it
just
was
like,
so
how did the cake
awesome.
not fall off the stick? Like, this is
Yeah,
like
that's
science.
why you dip in chocolate. Yeah,
Yes.
it's like, so that's why you would dip it in chocolate. And then, of course, cotton candy, if you get it close to moisture. So, like, I've put cotton candy on like a macaron before or a cake, and it just like will melt because the moisture with it. But
Yeah.
if you put it over just hardened chocolate, it's fine. So it just like looks like a cotton candy ball, but then there's cake
Wow,
inside.
that is incredible. Oh my
It was
gosh.
very cool. Yeah.
Are
So,
cake pops still popular? Or you kind of see that die off?
I've seen it die off a little bit. I mean, obviously I don't get requests for them. And if I ever did, there's a specific, couple people here that do cake pops really well because I find them incredibly difficult. I don't like making them. So chocolate consistencies and like getting everything like, you have to shake them and the wait time and it's a lot for one cake pop. And my patients just can't. I'd rather work on like a 5-tier cake. But yeah, there's a couple people here that I'll go ahead and like recommend people to if they're looking at cake pops. So they're still doing stuff. So
Imagine a wedding day where each detail is already taken care of, allowing you to savor every moment. At Sandals, your dream wedding can finally become a reality. From intimate elopements to grand celebrations, Sandals offers customizable packages for every size and style. Plus, everything is included: your accommodations, gourmet dining, premium drinks, and all your wedding services. You get a dedicated wedding planner and an on-site team to manage everything from ceremony to reception. And here's a really sweet deal. Stay 7 nights or longer in a club or butler-level room, and you'll receive their Sweetheart Wedding Package, completely on them. That means your ceremony, decor, and even a delicious 2-tier wedding cake. For those of you who really want to be sure, you can even test drive your wedding experience before you book it. Stop dreaming and start planning. Head over to sandals.com today or call 1-877-SANDALS to create your unforgettable wedding experience. What's trending this year in 25 that you see also becoming something in 26?
Honestly, I'm seeing people who are actually wanting larger cakes. And I don't mean just like taller, I also mean wider. So those great segue into that 16-foot cake that I just made. The planner had requested that because we're seeing more and more cakes just getting to be more of a focal point. So that one is like, they wanted the whole length of the guest table. So that's why we did that. Or I do have, and I've done a couple in the past, and I have a couple coming up, is those large round cakes with the berries on top. It's a very large cake, and you can serve your whole guest count from that cake, and it looks just like massive in front of them while they're cutting it. I have a client in October. We're doing one of those 7-foot tall cakes because they want their moment with it. She wants to, you want to stand on a step stool to cut your cake.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I'm definitely seeing more people who are like, no, if we're going to get a cake, we want it to be like a focal point now, which I appreciate. I don't put the cake in the corner.
I was just about to say that because like it seems that the pendulum has just drastically swung because it was, we don't want cake, or it's just the small, tiny, just married cake, or the quiet cake cutting, to your point, what you just mentioned. And now it's like 1980s, 7-foot tall, opulent. Are you doing the fountains in the middle? Because I remember growing up with some of those, like the columns and the fountain in between layers 3 and 4. And
yes, yeah, I've done one of them, and I have someone else who is like, "Can you do the tall columns?" And I'm like, "I can. I have that stuff." So, yeah, I'm seeing a lot of like we want a large cake, we want a moment with it, we want guests to walk in and be like, "Whoa." And it's true. The beginning of this last year, and the end of 2024, I can't even tell you how many just married heart cakes I made. They were everywhere. And so I'm personally thrilled. I love that clients are like, yeah, we want it to be this thing that's actually a part of our wedding day. That makes me happy because this is my life. Cake is my life. And so I'm like, oh, it just makes me feel good that people are seeing value in that. And I think that I always tell clients, look, there's a lot of things that you're going to remember from your wedding day, but a year from now, you may taste a cake that is the same cake flavor as your wedding, and you're going to get a sense memory from it. And it's one of the few taste sense memories that you're going to have from your wedding. And so I did a shoot with someone where I made like a lemon blueberry cake sample. And the couple got up and they tried it. And she goes, oh my God, it's lemon blueberry. We had this at our wedding day. And it was an immediate reaction to it. And so I was just like, oh, see, that's why you choose a cake flavor you love and you have a cake, because you get that memory that you're not replacing that with anything else that day.
What about different dietary restrictions? Because talking about all this sugar, I feel for the diabetics out there, but you have people that are gluten-free and nut allergies. So how do you kind of keep that in mind, whether it's you yourself, the couple, dealing with these, or you have family members or friends that might be there and you want them to still be able to have something. So how do you kind of navigate that situation?
Yeah. So if a couple says to me like, hey, we need something to be gluten-free or dairy-free, I have done both and often. So both of those are totally doable. I always tell people though, it needs to be like not a severe allergy, because I'm not a certified gluten-free kitchen. I'm not a certified dairy-free kitchen. So you need to know that. And then your guest needs to know that as well. So if they have a severe allergy, they should probably just stick with someone who has that certified bakery space for that. There's always the chance for cross-contamination. I guess it's the same if you went to a restaurant, right? You just always know that there could be cross-contamination. It's the same thing. But I make cakes that are I call them gluten-friendly because I can use the gluten-free products. And then same thing, dairy-friendly. I've done vegan cakes. So no egg, no butter, no, well, that's dairy, but buttermilk or anything like that. Yeah. So I've done vegan cakes as well to accommodate. It is easier if you find a cake artist who is able to work with you, like on things like custom flavors, someone who is willing to adjust their menu. Some people won't. Some people are like, my menu is my menu. I don't have any other options. So this is what you're stuck with. I'm one of those people who I will try to adjust and work with my clients on what they want, because I know it's oh, what are they going to do? Like, I'm like, so they're going to go and try and like figure out something for this. So because I already work on custom recipes, I'm okay adjusting stuff. So like I had a client that they just really had a bad reaction to processed sugar. Oh. So you said sugar and diabetics. I was like, well, funny enough, I had someone who really had a bad reaction to processed sugar, and he doesn't eat it in his day-to-day life. And then we have his wedding cake, and he wanted to be able to enjoy his wedding cake. So we went through a whole process of making cake and making buttercream with monk fruit sugar. Oh. And it's not something I'd worked with before. So I had to help. I was like, you got to give me some time to like work with it and see how I can figure it out. And then we made like a no sugar jam for the middle. But so I would just say, find someone again that you feel like you can click with and is hearing you and is able to accommodate those requests, because they're out there. You just have to find them. But yeah, I do try to help and accommodate my clients as much as possible, because if they're coming to me, cake is an important part of their wedding day then. And so I want to be able to accommodate those things for them.
And this just, again, stresses the point that when you're vetting your vendor, your cake artist, just up front any kind of allergy that you know of, or if they can even work around it. Like, just communicate it before you even sign that contract, because once you sign that contract,
100%.
that's a whole other
Yes.
ballgame.
Yes. And they should, I mean, that's something that every baker up front knows whether they can or won't do. Because some people just make it a point like, no, we're not going to. So yeah, definitely something to make sure you know up front. And then we can do different tiers of different stuff. So
yeah.
I have people who are like, oh, we just want the top tier gluten-free because the bride is gluten-free and she doesn't want to make the rest of her guests eat gluten-free cake, which I think that my gluten-free cake is pretty good. So I think the guests would be fine, but
they'll never know.
They'll never know. But if you just want the top tier, we can just do that. Or I've even had brides who are like, you know, 2 of my bridesmaids, one of them is gluten-free and one of them is dairy-free. And we made little mini cakes for them. So they could have their own in their individual boxes while the rest of the cake was a standard cake flavor with no adjustments. And then the bridesmaids got their own. So there's lots of options that we can do to like accommodate everyone.
What is your take on people that have the like fake cake? Like, they have the small they cut in front of everybody, but the rest of it is fake. And there's the sheet cake in the back hiding.
Yeah. So I think that it is a great option if you're using it to help with your timeline. That is why I would say that it's a great option. It's not going to save you money. This idea that fake cakes are saving you money today is not. Most cake artists don't charge any different.
Okay, so debunk that myth right now.
Yeah.
You're not actually saving.
That's not everyone. I can't speak to everyone, but the ones that I know were not charging any different, because if you're coming to someone like me, a custom cake artist, then you're coming for the design, and styrofoam is still really expensive. So I'm still paying for all the styrofoam in the cake, and it's equal cost to the ingredients in your cake. So the price difference to me, it's like, it's no different. Now I spoke with a planner who she always would come back and order faux cakes from me for her clients, and we would work on that. And so I was like, you got to tell me why you're doing this so I understand what the reasoning is behind it. So we sat down and I had a conversation, and I'm like, yes, this absolutely makes sense. And it's something that I recommend to planners if they're worried about something like this. But this idea that people don't eat cake, right? Guests aren't going to eat wedding cake. Well, then the cake is being cut and served too late in the evening. It's usually being cut and served at 8:30, 9 p.m. Some of your guests have gone home for that evening. Maybe they have to go home because they have a babysitter, or maybe they're just done for the night, or you have people who are on the dance floor. That's the other part. They're not sitting down to eat your wedding cake at 9 p.m. So when I tell clients, hey, if you're worried about that, don't serve it at 9. That's part of the problem. So when do you serve your cake then? It should be while everyone's still seated for dinner, right after dinner. That's
immediate
when
dessert.
You should serve your wedding cake. Immediate dessert, and people will eat your wedding cake.
As soon as you walk into the reception, you should cut your cake.
Yes.
Right? Get that photo up while everyone's paying attention, because you're just walking in.
Yes. Just do it right away when you walk in. Or the other time that you could do it is you are, bride and groom usually eat first, and then your guests are still eating. If you want a private cake cutting moment, cut the cake while your guests are eating dinner. And then they can cut and serve. But the reason why the faux cake is always nice is because you could then cut that faux cake for your photos at any point in the evening and still have your sheet cakes cut and served right after dinner. So that's what the planner was telling me was happening. And I'm like, got it. Makes total sense, because then catering doesn't have to wait for the cake to be brought into the back for them to cut all the round tiers. They can literally just prep all those sheet cakes in the back while guests are eating dinner, and then get them ready to go out and serve. And then the couple can do their photo with their fake cake at any point. So that's the reasoning why I say it's great. Yeah. And it makes sense to me. And I'm like, great. Well, that makes everyone happy. They get their photos and the guests still get their cake. So
Yeah, and when they really want it, right? Like they're not getting drunk yet, they're not sweating the dance floor. Like you said, they may have to leave because babysitters are, they're older and, don't
yes.
want to be out late.
Yeah.
Are people still doing the tradition of keeping the top part of the cake to freeze and
Yeah.
have a year later? Are they?
Yes. Yeah, they are. Yeah. I would say that it's probably like at least 50% of
Okay.
my couples. Yeah. So I leave a box for them. I always leave a box for catering, and so they can put the top tier in there if they wanted to. I do have other couples who will just come back to me a year after and they're like, hey, can we get like the same flavor that we did? And so we do that. It just depends. And then if you live in like a destination place or you're traveling, usually those couples won't save their top tier because it's a little bit more challenging to like plan on freezing and like trying to bring it back home. So
Yeah. So what's your recommendation actually with destination weddings and choosing your cake? Because our sponsor for this episode, Sandals Resorts, obviously they're going to provide some wonderful cakes, but you could be having destination anywhere. So what's that process like that we should be considering?
Yeah. With destination weddings, I really think communication is the biggest thing. And as far out that you can give vendors a heads up that you're coming into town to do planning meetings is super important. I really love when clients email me 2 months out and they're like, hey, we just scheduled time to come into town to do a whole bunch of wedding planning meetings. Can we schedule a cake tasting? And I'm like, fantastic. 2 months out, I got you. That's easy enough. I will literally meet you anywhere to make this easier for you. If you contact me 3 days before your plane lands, I am probably delivering to a wedding.
Yeah, right.
So I would say make sure that you just give your vendors enough notice that you're coming into town and you want to talk to them, or meet with them or do a tasting or whatever you plan to do, just so we can plan. And that, I mean, gosh, it's like if a client is coming into town during peak weather in Arizona, that's also peak wedding season. So I'm very busy. That's why I just need the notice.
You mentioned just now season. Is there anything we need to be considering when it comes to seasons? Just like you do for flowers, right? You need to really think hard about what flowers you choose seasonally. Is it the same with choosing your cake and bakery? Especially if you have like an outdoor wedding.
Delivery does make a difference, obviously, for weather outside. Time of year makes a huge difference. So talking with more so the person who's going to be delivering your cake and what that looks like. I would say, like, if a client here that I was working with went and talked to their venue about me delivering their wedding cake, their venue would be like, we don't know what time you should have your cake delivered. We have no idea. So I always get from my clients their full timeline. I need to know when your guests are arriving, what the layout is of your venue. Is your cake visible from your ceremony space? Is your cocktail hour visible from your, from the reception space? Are people going to be watching me if I deliver at cocktail hour? Is that a problem? What's the weather out that day? Is it going to be raining? Which we don't usually have to worry about too much rain here in Arizona during high season, but there are times when, even in October, it can get to be 115 here. So, yeah. And I had that happen last year where they had a Saturday wedding. They moved it outside because they thought it was going to be super nice. And it was 115. And and that makes logistics a little bit more challenging with a 4-tier buttercream wedding cake.
Yes, it's going to melt the second you walk outside.
Yep. So I told them, hey, if this is outside, then I'm going to deliver like 20 minutes before you cut your cake. And so all their guests were seated. They were all eating dinner, and I was over on the cake table setting up their wedding cake. So I think that, just knowing what your cake person or baker will do as far as delivery and how they handle that is super important. I know that I've talked to a few venues where they say, oh, well, we have a walk-in fridge and they'll just deliver whenever they can, and they'll just put it in the fridge and then the venue has to move it out. That's an option. But I prefer to handle moving the cake and setting it in place, because I think that, one, I'm the expert. I shouldn't have to rely on the venue or the planner. I know planners who've had to move cakes too, and I'm like, that's terrifying if you're not used to it.
Yeah.
I just don't want to have another vendor have to look over my work. And then also it's my cake with the client. So I want to make sure that I'm setting it up. It looks how we talked about when I set it on their cake stand and walk away. So for me, it's very important that I just have the full picture of their timeline and their wedding day and the venue, so I can make the best decision about when I should be setting up that cake for them.
Great point. What's the biggest mistake you see couples make when going through the cake process?
Mistake. I would say that clients get a little hung up on how much cake they should have. I think that there's the assumption that, one, no one eats cake, so they get something very, very small. Or they are like overly nervous about not having enough cake. And so they get at least a serving for everyone, and then sometimes plus, because they are like, well, just going to make sure. And I will say, when I've told people, hey, you should look at like 70% of your guest count for cake, that's usually a pretty good number. Most people who have come back to me after that, or even the planner who's come back to me, they're like, that was a good number. So that's why I'm like, okay, 70% is usually a good number. And then it can go low if you have other desserts as well. So I think that you should just rely on your cake person to kind of walk you through the servings and what the recommendation is. Of course, you can do whatever you want. If it's your wedding and you're like, look, I want leftover cake and I want to be able to take it home, you do that.
Go for it.
So go for it. And I've had people do it. They're like, look, I want it the next day. I want to be able to like have it at our, gift opening, like brunch thing the next day. And I'm like, great. We'll make extra cake then for you.
Cake does make a great breakfast the next day.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
So we're wrapping up here. That is fantastic advice, though, because I'm always curious about the ratio when it comes to bakery and just catering in general, because it can be very confusing sometimes.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
thanks for helping break that down for us. So have to know, Armana, what is in your wedding bucket? Totally your opinion. What can we chuck?
Gosh. Okay, so my parents own a venue, and I used to like bartend back, early 2000s. And so you had mentioned a few of them earlier, but the garter toss thing just really, when you have to put the couple on a spotlight in the middle of the dance floor and it's not their first dance, I'm just not, that's tough. That's tough. Or the shoe thing where the grooms, they take off their shoes.
The game?
Yeah. Yeah, the games. I don't know why we're still doing games. So
someone said the same thing actually the other day. Someone mentioned the games. I forgot who we were talking to on the show, but they're like, save it for like the shower.
Yeah, do it at the shower. That's supposed to be like fun and quirky and like, I don't get it. I didn't do that at my wedding. It's like, we're absolutely not. But yeah, I'm just not a fan. And then I've seen plenty of photos with them and I'm like, still not my thing. I don't like it. So it seems weird to me.
Anything with cakes or bakery that's in your bucket?
I don't want to say vintage cakes. I know everyone is doing vintage cakes and that's like a really big thing, but it's like kind of vintage cakes. I wish people would just like do a design questionnaire and make something that's unique to you. It's so trendy. Vintage cakes, people think they're timeless and like classic, and they kind of are.
All over Pinterest.
They're so trendy right now. So I'm like, let's do something new for you. Let's leave it behind for a minute. So
leave it vintage.
Yeah, leave it vintage. We're okay. Let's just do something new.
Final question. What is your all-time favorite celebrity or royal wedding?
Oh my gosh. I was just trying to like look at a few of them because they're such great inspiration. But I will say I really love a classic look to a wedding, which is funny that I just talked about vintage cakes, but that doesn't mean that your cake can't be classic. I really come back to Sophia Richie's wedding a lot. Every time I see it, I'm like, that is such a timeless wedding without it feeling trendy, which is amazing. So yeah, I really come back to hers a lot. It was beautiful. So we're going to have a few more coming up, I think, that are just going to be like insane.
The Taylor Swift, the Lady Gaga.
Oh, yes.
Selena and Benny.
Yep. All of them.
Oh, there's so many. Wait. Like, who else? Dua Lipa.
Yes.
You know who I'm really sad about? I'm really sad because, like, for celebrity weddings coming up, I was excited to see what Nina and Shaun White were going to do. Nina Dobrev and Shaun White. And they just called off their engagement. I was like,
I know. It was so
that's gonna
sad.
That'd be such a cool wedding.
I know. That was a bummer. Yeah, that was sad. I mean, and Becca Bloom just had her wedding.
Oh, yeah.
From TikTok. And I was just like, it was so her, which was awesome. I loved seeing all of the dress changes that she had that were not white. She was like, no, I'm a colorful person. And so she just wore color throughout the whole day. I was like, love it. When couples can bring in their personality into stuff like that, I'm like, it's your wedding. It should feel like you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I love it. I can't wait for a whole bunch more over the next year.
Well, Armana, unfortunately, we have to wrap up here. It's been such a pleasure to have you on Bridechilla, and thank you so much for all this awesome advice. How can we get more information on you and your company?
Yeah, you can find me. Well, my website is acakesbakery.com. I'm on Instagram and TikTok, a.cakesbakery.az. So you can see me there.
Thanks, Armana.
Thank you.